Friends, by way of a closing statement, I will say that we have now entered a political era in which dark money groups funded by powerful special interests now, on occasion, actually outspend the political campaigns of the actual candidates. And whatever communication goes on behind the scenes between whoever's behind the outside spending, whether it's a super PAC or a other group, and the candidates themselves is completely unregulated, but the notion that information doesn't travel in politics is an idiotic notion, spectacularly disproved by history. So the idea that there really are firewalls is simply not credible in practical reality. The result of advertisements paid for by entities that don't really exist and that hide whoever it is that really exists, who is behind them, is that there's no accountability for what they say. Hence the degeneration of American political speech and the arising of the phrase tsunami of slime to describe political speech. It was Citizens United itself, a decision that I have violent disagreements with on many angles, but they did say that there is a nexus between secrecy and corruption in politics. And they specifically made that a predicate of the case in order to allow the unlimited money in. Then, of course, that didn't prove true, and they didn't have the chance to rebuild. So repeatedly, I have gone to the Supreme Court to say, hey, you are wrong. You are factually wrong that there will be effective disclosure. I think we're up to how many billions of dollars in dark money spent? $6 billion since that decision, something like that. So there's $6 billion of proof that the Supreme Court got it wrong in its reliance on effective disclosure. And on several occasions, I've gone to the court and said, you got it wrong. On one case, I went in bipartisan fashion with Senator McCain, who was a legendary advocate for honest elections. And in our bipartisan brief, we said, hey, what you said was going to happen isn't happening. You are wrong. You need to correct. And the fact that the Supreme Court never corrected, even when the newspapers, the FEC filings, and bipartisan briefs coming into it told them that they had been wrong, I think is a blot on the court. So I intend to continue to work to try to clean up this mess. And just to be clear, the efforts that I will undertake to clean this up will apply to both sides. So the conversation about whether Democrats do better or Republicans do better, whether Democrats are guiltier or Republicans are guiltier, whether who's playing fair or who isn't, it all needs to stop to restore decency and accountability in American politics. And I will note a recent decision in my United States Court of Appeals for the First Circuit. Rhode Island is part of the First Circuit. And a very distinguished Rhode Islander, Judge Bruce Selya, recently just upheld a Rhode Island law requiring disclosure using these very arguments. The Supreme Court declined to review it, and I think that is the argument that makes the better of the case here. We are citizens of the United States, and as citizens of the United States, we have responsibilities. And in order to discharge those responsibilities, we need information, and a very important piece of the information that we require to be good citizens of the United States is who the hell is behind the megaphone that is blaring at us. Because you might very well discover that you can discount the voice once you know who it is. If somebody sets up Rhode Islanders for Peace and Puppies and Prosperity and comes and smears me all over the place in Rhode Island, that's one thing. If it's Marathon Petroleum or Exxon, that's a very different thing. And Rhode Island voters will sort that information out very quickly. In fact, it may be to my advantage to have negative ads run against me in Rhode Island by ExxonMobil. So they hide. And I don't think that's a fair way to go. Senator Menendez has arrived, and I'd be delighted to recognize him for a period of questions.